Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sue. In today's video, I'm like in my room, so bear with me. I had been storing up my canning videos from the summertime whenever we had the garden. It is a lot of work to process all the garden, and now there are some canning videos that are going to be coming out. I think I'll put these on Saturday. So if that's something that you're interested in, by all means hit that subscribe button, or just, keep coming back to the channel on Saturday, girl. Okay? In this video, most of these canning videos have to be like voiced over and sped up, because if I do multiple canning things at one time. So in today's video, we're going to be canning tomato sauce and also salsa. So whenever I get going on something like processing my tomatoes, I will do 2 or 3 different projects at one time because I have limited time to do it. And so I will spend an entire day over the weekend just processing out some of the stuff. So if you're interested in how I break down the spaghetti sauce and also the salsa, then stick around. Hey there, we're going to start by cutting and dicing up all of our tomatoes. Now, like I said, I will be making 2 different recipes in this video. So I do think I would jump back and forth at some point in time, because whenever I start canning, I'm canning 2, 3, 4 things at one time. As a matter of fact, I do believe on this day I canned green beans as well. So I'm just chopping all these up. These tomatoes here are going to make salsa, and as you can see, I'm not getting the majority of the juice out. I'm really just cutting the cores and calling it good. This is the juice that was left over here in this small bowl, and I don't add that. That's going to go to my chickens, or it did go to my chickens. And I am measuring out about 7 cups of diced peeled tomatoes. You can do any kind of tomatoes you want, about 5 pounds. And then you're going to see me move over to my blender, and I'm going to get the rest of the ingredients blended up a little bit. If you like a chunkier salsa, you just want to, add this stuff directly to this pot. But if you don't want a chunkier salsa, then like me, I like mine a little bit thinner. I like my ingredients a little bit, more fine. I'm just adding here about 4 cloves of garlic minced. You can add the whole clove of garlic in there if you want to. I'm also adding, I think I added bell pepper in here, but you don't necessarily have to put the bell pepper in there. I just did it because I had it out of the garden. I put about 3 jalapenos in there. And then I put about 2 tablespoons of cilantro. Now, I make my stuff to taste, but by all means, you guys can put, if you're heavy on the cilantro, girl, put more cilantro in there. If you like it more spicy, put more jalapenos in there. I make several different types of salsa. This particular one, I believe I'm making a milder version, but I do make hot salsa also for my boys, because my boys eat the hot salsa more than they eat mild salsa. Also, you will not ever see me add onions to any of my ingredients on anything that I do, because I have an allergy to onions. So, but this is the point where you would put the onions in. If you wanted it, chopped up a little bit finer, you can put it in here. If you wanted those onions, in bigger chunks, most people tend to want it in bigger chunks. You can just dice them up and put them in the pot with the tomatoes, in bigger chunks. And then you do need about 2 tablespoons of lemon or lime juice. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of salt. And you are going to, this makes about 4 pints, or probably maybe like 2 quarts. If you're lucky, I tend to do all of my stuff in pints because I don't like to waste all of my work. So it's a lot easier for me to do pints because I know it'll get eaten. Instead of doing, once it's opened, I know it'll get eaten as a pint. Sometimes when I make stuff in quarts, it doesn't necessarily end up that way. So what you're going to do now is you're going to just bring this up to a boil. You're going to let it simmer. And then when you go to can it, you're going to, of course, have sterile jars, new lids and rings. When you go to put it in the can or in the jar, you're going to leave about half an inch headspace. And you're going to make sure you remove all the air bubbles as well. And then you are going to, water bath can it for about 20 minutes. Because you have cooked it, you can, only put it in the water bath canner for a little bit less time than, say, if you're making tomato sauce, which I'm getting ready to show you here directly. So, and then right there, I'm adding about a half cup of vinegar, and I'm also putting in a can of tomato paste because I tend to think that it's thin after I get done canning it. So I do go ahead and add that can of tomato paste just to ensure that it stays pretty thick. I like a thick but thin, like smaller pieced salsa, if that makes sense. And here I am. These are frozen tomatoes, and these are out of my garden. And as you're pulling stuff out of the garden, as much gardening as I do, like, you tend to eat fresh as much as you want to, and then you're going to freeze everything else so you can do this canning stuff, when you got the time to do that. So when it comes to the spaghetti sauce, I do not peel them. I don't de-seed them. I put them in my crock pot. I cook them on low for about 6 hours. And then I'm going to put them back into my blender. I'm going to blend them up, make it real nice and thin. And then I'm going to put it back into my crock pot and cook it for about another 4 hours on low. If you don't want to go through the trouble, or you don't have a blender to, this Ninja, blends up things pretty fine, smooth. But if you don't have one of these, or you don't have something similar to it, you can seed and peel your tomatoes. All you would need to do is let those tomatoes thaw. And then you're going to blanch them for about 5 or 6 minutes and then put them immediately into hot water. If you mark an X on the bottom of your tomatoes before you blanch them, then those peels will come right off. And as a matter of fact, it would be my advice to put that X on that tomato before you freeze it if you're freezing it. And if you're not freezing it and using fresh tomatoes, just put that X on there, blanch them, and then immediately put them into some ice water, and those peels will come off real easy for you. So into this pot, I'm going to go ahead and start telling you the recipe on this. What you're going to want to do, I don't have 25 pounds of tomatoes, but this is my normal recipe that I would use, or this is the normal recipe my granny would use, because I just can out of her book. So her old time recipes, that's what I can from. So her recipe is about 25 pounds of tomatoes. She has 4 large onions, 5 bell peppers, 4 ounces, 4 6-ounce cans of tomato paste, 2/3 of brown sugar, 1/4 of a cup of kosher salt, 10 cloves of garlic. You never want to put iodized salt into your canning. You always want to use Himalayan salt, kosher salt, something like that, pickling salt, because iodized calcium does funny things to your products inside the jar after they've been sitting there a while. So then you're going to need about 3 tablespoons of oregano, 3 tablespoons of basil. If you like your oregano and basil a little bit heavier than that, she does have a note out to the side here that make it to taste. If you need 4, tablespoons of oregano, just put 4 tablespoons of oregano in there. That's what she's saying. Also, she puts a splash of soy sauce in there. I did not put the soy sauce in mine because my husband doesn't like that. And then she says you need about 1 teaspoon of pepper flakes and 2 bay leaves, and then you're going to need about 10 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now, she kind of wrote her recipes down, but I don't really follow her recipes. I just cook. I just make my stuff to the way that I like to taste it, and then I can it. And then I make sure that the ingredients that have to be in there to preserve what I'm cooking is in there. When you're dealing with tomatoes, you want to put citric acid in it, lemon juice, lime juice. You need something that's got that preserving power in it, so it doesn't go bad in your jar over time. Now, when it comes to tomatoes, I tend to put about 10 tablespoons. You're going to need about 10 tablespoons of lemon juice, but I tend to put, when I go to can it, I usually put a teaspoon in my pints of lemon juice added to the jar before I put the sauce in it. And at that time, you also want to put as well, if you want to put like your salt in it, I would put the salt in the individual jar. Now you can see here that I'm not following my granny's recipe. I'm putting lemon juice in there just by the squeeze full. I'm also putting some olive oil in there, and here I am putting sugar in it because I'll taste my sauce until I get it to the way I like. That's why I put the teaspoon of lemon juice directly in my jar as I'm canning it, because I want to make sure, of course, that it is being preserved. And the same rules apply to this, where you want to make sure you have no cracks on your jars. You want to make sure you have clean lids. You want to make sure that your jars are sterile and clean. I usually put mine in the dishwasher to sterilize them. You will leave an inch of headspace to this, and you're going to water bath can these for 40 minutes after it reaches the boil. In this video, I don't actually show you the canning process, but in the videos coming up, I break that down for you and walk you through that as well. I think I did record it. I just think I lost the footage of me actually canning these. Or it was 10 o'clock at night and, it was too dark in my kitchen. I got an old farmhouse and the lighting's not that great. Anyway, that is going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, do leave them in the description box below. Happy canning. We'll see you next time.